luxury. My background's in journalism. Unfortunately, I was looking at the news last week and I was wondering, I said by watching just a small 30-minute segment of news, I would think that the only people that committed crimes were African-American males because those are the only mugshots I saw. But when I watch Dateline every Friday and Saturday, I never hear about those cases, and those are the ones that make me more concerned about anything, that you might be living next door to this person who's got people over in their basement cut up, and I didn't even ever hear about that on the news. So you have to look at the messages, what's being reinforced, and are the people making these decisions reflective? And it is each individual's own, like you said, there has to be an internal motivation, because we can't tell you, if I've grown up in this way of life and this is all that I know, until someone shows me something differently, I don't know. And our jobs are, you know, not to take on that we can do it, but to introduce to you.
But the message is, if you get close enough to somebody,
that you have to, that's the point I'm saying, that you have to allow that.
Relate with that person, you can understand that person, you can see the similarities and so forth, and then you can begin to treat that person
as a person. If we don't have things that reinforce and say, because just me watching, man, every black man out there is dangerous, I need to make sure that I'm safe, that I'm okay, because that's now my interaction with you, is that when I see you, that's what I'm thinking, is that you are a danger, you present a danger to me.
Well, we first must accept the fact that we're all broken. That we're all broken, and we have to take a look at our narratives, our justifications that hold us back, and then having the courage then to try something different. I'll give you one example. Mr. Robinson and I were touring a prison 2.5 weeks ago, and this officer, a senior officer, was watching inmates going in the chow line. And across from where he was, a bunch of inmates, mostly black, playing basketball, lifting weights, and so forth. And he's leaning up against the wall, watching them and watching the chow line. And we are walking down the boulevard in the facility, going by him. I reached over to shake his hands. The director reached over to shake his hands. He never gave me his hand. Never gave me his hand. What he did, in turn, was to look at me and said, I have a question for you. I said, what is your question? He said, you have all these programs that you have implemented for sex offenders, and this and that for all these inmates, cognitive programming and so forth. He said, are you doing the same thing for the victims? I said to him calmly, it is not your job to decide how resources are divided and spent in this department. That's for me and the leadership of this agency to decide. Your job is to model for these inmates and to treat them right and to treat them humanely. And yes, we also have programs for victims. And he stuck his mouth up and sat there and just ignored me. So that's what we were talking about. It was clear that this officer didn't appreciate what we were doing for all those black guys out there that he was supervising. And so I had his leadership deal with him at the institution, because it bothers me to know that I have a senior officer with that attitude, having to supervise those individuals on a daily basis. I don't rest comfortably knowing his attitude and what's expected of him and who he has to work with. What's his narrative? What is his narrative? We end with hope. We end with hope because change is possible. But it's not going to happen without us having the courage to do things differently, to try things differently, to get close, to get to know another that's different than you are, at least in appearance. To get to know what they value, what makes them tick. And each one of us have the opportunity to create that hope. It's a choice we make. Let me end by saying to you that an individual that I much admire, I've read about him to some degree, a former U.S. Secretary of State, William Jennings Bryan. He said once, destiny should always be a matter of choice and never left to chance. It should be a matter of choice. How will you choose? Thank you.